The wind brushed softly against the small wooden house on the hillside as Sam stood in front of her garden, her hands still covered with earth. Morning sunlight poured gently over her rows of vegetables, green, fresh, and alive. Yet inside her heart, a heavy silence remained. It had been 10 long days since Lee left for his secret mission. 10 days without a call, a message, or even the faintest sign of life. Every sunrise felt like hope, and every sunset felt like fear tightening its grip around her chest. Will he come back, or will this world steal him away from me forever? The question echoed in her heart each time she looked toward the distant mountains where Lee had last disappeared. To keep herself from breaking, Sam buried her fears beneath daily chores. She dug nests for her chickens high up on the clay walls, cleaned the yard until her back ached, and fried slices of taro in golden oil, letting the sweet smell of caramelized sugar fill her tiny kitchen. She told herself she was simply living, but in truth, she was surviving. Her voice trembled slightly as she recorded another video for her small channel. Hello everyone. Sam hopes your day is warm and full of joy. Thank you for staying with Sam through these difficult days. She forced a smile, but her eyes revealed the truth. A girl waiting for a man who might never return. The villagers admired her strength. They saw how she worked from dawn until the stars appeared, tending to her crops, feeding her animals, earning every little piece of peace in her life. But only Sam knew the real reason she stayed busy. If she stopped moving, she would drown in thoughts of Lee. Sometimes, late at night, Sam walked out to the garden and looked up at the sky. Lee, she whispered, are you still alive? Are you still fighting to come back to me? The air never answered, but Sam kept asking, because believing was the only thing keeping her heart from collapsing. And deep inside, she feared the cruelest truth, that Lee might never return, and she would have to face the rest of her life without the man she loved. But for now, she could only stand still, breathe deeply, and pray that the world would spare the one person she could not live without.
Days kept passing, slipping through Tosam's fingers like sand she couldn't hold on to. The more time went by, the more she felt the shape of Lee's absence in everything around her. The mornings were the hardest. Lee used to sit on the small wooden steps outside the house, sipping hot tea while teasing her about waking up too late. Now the steps remained cold and empty, dew settling on the wood like tears left behind. Sam would prepare 2 cups of tea out of habit, one for herself, one for him, only to stare at the untouched cup until it grew cold, the steam fading just like her hopes. Some nights she dreamed of him. He would walk through the front gate, smiling the way only he could, calling her name so gently it made her heart melt. But every time she reached out to touch him, he faded like smoke, leaving her clutching at nothing but air and tears. To distract herself, Sam kept working. She sowed new seeds in the garden, carefully covered them with soil, sprinkled water, and watched the earth breathe. But even the soft rustling of the leaves reminded her of Lee, of how he used to joke that the plants grew better only because she talked to them like they were children. The village men who once came regularly to chat with Lee now avoided mentioning his name, afraid the truth might hurt her. One afternoon, as she delivered vegetables to a neighbor, she overheard 2 men whispering, "Lee's mission. It was dangerous, wasn't it?" "Yeah, I heard no one has returned yet." The words hit her like cold steel. Her heartbeat stumbled, her vision dimmed for a moment. But she didn't cry there. Sam simply thanked them, bowed politely, and walked away with trembling steps until she reached the forest edge. Only then did she collapse to her knees, clutching her chest. No, Lee promised. He promised he would come home. A soft breeze brushed her hair, almost like a hand comforting her. Sam wiped her tears and forced herself to stand. No matter what happened, she told herself she must continue living. If not for her, then for the life Lee dreamed of, a peaceful life where she would be safe, where their future child would grow up with love, where Lee would finally be free of danger. But as the sun disappeared behind the hills, leaving the sky painted with sorrowful orange light, a heavy question clung to her heart. What if she had to face all of this alone? What if Lee would never walk back through her gate again? And yet, in the deepest part of her soul, Tosam still whispered a fragile hope. Please, Lee, come home, even if you're hurt, even if you're broken. Just come home to me. While Tusam tried to survive her days in quiet pain, far away in a hidden part of the city, Lee was fighting for every breath, every second of his life. He had successfully infiltrated the Haklong gang, but things had spiraled faster than he expected. The deeper he went, the more dangerous the secrets became. Drug routes, encrypted documents, corrupt officials hidden behind masks of power. One mistake, one hesitation, and he would be dead. 3 days after joining the gang, Lee discovered something terrifying. Haklong had men inside the police force. Someone was leaking information, erasing traces, and destroying missions from within. And that meant only one thing. If the traitor learned who Lee really was, Tusam would be in danger too. One night, during a violent interrogation session, Lee was forced to prove his loyalty. A man was dragged in, tied and beaten, accused of spying. Haklong handed Lee a metal pipe. Show us you're one of us. Lee hesitated. His stomach twisted, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. If he refused, they would kill him immediately. If he obeyed, he would lose a part of himself forever. So he struck, but with controlled force, hitting only enough to satisfy their eyes while keeping the man alive. He prayed the man would forgive him, someday, when all of this was over. That night, bleeding from his own wounds, Lee whispered into the darkness, Sam, wait for me. Even if I have to crawl back to you, I will return. But deep inside, he wasn't sure anymore, because the traitor had finally begun to suspect him. Days passed, then weeks, and still no message, no call, not even a whisper of news from Lee. Tusam tried to stay strong, but every night she found herself sitting on the porch, hands wrapped around a cold cup of tea, eyes staring into the empty road. The silence felt heavier with each passing day. One evening, while she was feeding her new puppy Mick, Sam's phone suddenly rang. Her heart jumped so violently she almost dropped the bowl. Lee? Had he finally called? But when she answered, it wasn't his voice. It was Duk. Sam, listen carefully, he said, his tone low, trembling slightly. We've lost contact with Lee. His last signal was traced near the Haklong warehouse. After that, nothing. Sam's breath shattered. What do you mean, nothing? He promised he would come back. He promised he would marry me when everything was over. On the other side, Duk closed his eyes, unable to bear the pain in her voice. We are searching, Sam, but this mission, it's darker than we expected. We don't know who's leaking information. We don't know who we can trust. Sam's fingers grew numb. The world felt as if it tilted beneath her feet. After the call ended, she walked slowly into the small garden Lee had helped her plant. She touched the leaves, now fully grown, and whispered, If you can't come back, what will my life become, Lee? The wind blew softly, as if answering her fear with silence.
The story of Tusam and Lee carries a deep and timeless lesson, one that speaks to the silent strength of the human heart and the difficult paths we must sometimes walk alone. Through Tusam's quiet suffering, her unwavering hope, and the storms she faced without Lee by her side, we learn that life does not always unfold according to our desires, yet it still demands that we keep moving, breathing, and believing in something greater than the pain we carry. First, Tusam teaches us that love is not merely the presence of another person, but the courage to continue nurturing the bond even when distance, fear, or uncertainty tries to break it. She waited for Lee not because she was weak, but because faith itself is an act of strength. Her patience shows us that real love is never hurried. It is built in silence, held together by trust and tested by time. Second, we learn that loss is not the end of a story. Even when Tusam believed Lee might never return, she discovered that life continues to blossom in unexpected ways. Her journey reminds us that grief does not erase our worth, and loneliness does not define our future. Instead, every hardship becomes a quiet teacher, revealing the hidden layers of our courage. She learned to stand, to rebuild, and to care for herself, proving that the heart can break and still remain capable of loving again. Most importantly, Tusam's life shows us that self-love is the foundation of every emotional survival. She did not collapse when faced with fear. She learned to breathe through it. She tended her home, her memories, and her fragile hopes with gentleness. From her, we learn that healing begins the moment we choose to value our own life as much as the one we long for. And finally, the story teaches that love returns in the way it is meant to. Whether Lee reappears or not, the lessons he left in Tusam's heart continue shaping her into someone stronger, more compassionate, and more aware of her own resilience. The people we love may walk away, may be pulled away by fate, or may come back changed. But what we learn from loving them stays with us forever. The true lesson of Tusam's journey is this: life will take from us, and it will test us, but it will also give back, sometimes quietly, sometimes unexpectedly. What matters is that we do not stop living while we wait for answers. We must hold hope, but never lose ourselves in the process. Through Tusam, we are reminded that every tear has meaning, every moment of waiting shapes us, and every heartbreak carries a seed of rebirth. And when life feels heaviest, that is often when we discover the real weight of our own strength.